Hello!
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. And who might this distinguished gentleman be?
This is our baby. Everybody, this is Dawsey Robert Johnson. Say surprise!
I came early. Oh, he's so cute. I just can't stop. Hello.
Got the clip.
Hi friends. So as you can tell, it's been a while. I think the last time we posted a vlog was early September, late August. It's now November.
I feel like, yeah, it's been a while.
Honestly, the last time I even filmed was early September.
Yeah.
As you can tell, a lot's happened. So
I'm looking at it.
yeah, he's out. But yeah, so our baby came 2 months early. I think it's a little over 2 months early. Yeah, eight weeks and 2 days early.
Yeah. Just over 2 months.
So yeah.
Trying to think of that math.
So we're here. We thought we'd give you a little update of where we've been the last month. How things transpired.
Oh yeah.
Spoiler alert, it's crazy. Not crazy like this guy, but crazy. So, let's get started, shall we? So, I honestly can't even remember what our last video was.
I don't even remember.
Because I know we have some filmed that never got posted.
Story of our lives.
We're really bad about that. We might be about to get a lot worse. But please bear with us. I swear we'll still post most of the time. Just gotta figure out the process. Anyway, so the... oh gosh, I really can't remember the last thing we filmed. But, so in mid-September, we went in for a doctor's appointment. And... well, I guess it's more late September.
It was, yeah.
But, so we went in for a doctor's appointment. Just a normal appointment. And I was in my doctor's office and she took my blood pressure and said, your blood pressure is incredibly high. And it was like 2-second thing. Like normally she comes in, checks me and everything. She rushed in, asked me questions, and then she said, we have to send you over to the hospital. Which was right next door. And she's like, they're going to give you some medicine. You're going to be on modified bed rest. And so I started freaking out. So I called Josh. We go over to the hospital. He was luckily allowed into the hospital. He wasn't allowed into the doctor's office. But he could go in the hospital with me. So we go. They give us some medicine. They watch the baby for a while. They watch me for a while. And then they send us home. And I'm on bed rest. So that was on a Thursday. I spent the weekend on bed rest. And then we went to go back and get checked Monday afternoon. Monday afternoon, right?
Yeah. I got off of work like what, an hour early or
yeah.
Or something. I got off work early and we went up there for the follow-up.
I feel the need to tell something about that day that's gonna pretty much spoil how quickly things are gonna progress the rest of this. So that Monday I woke up not really feeling well. And I was just in a bad mood. I know, buddy. He's got his own commentary.
He's like, you tell him, mama.
And basically, I was just not feeling well, and I was just feeling overwhelmed, and I was texting Josh, and I was like, I am so over being pregnant. Word to wise. Don't say that. So what had happened was, go to the doctor, they check me, and they rechecked it a couple times because the machine, the first reading, there was something weird about it. So they decided to check a couple times, and my blood pressure is even higher than it had been the previous week. And I freaked out because I'd been relaxing, I've been eating healthy snacks, you know. I did everything that they told me to do. And they're like, we gotta send you over to the hospital again. So again, I think I'm gonna go get checked out. I'm gonna get some medicine. They're gonna send me home. I'm gonna have to continue bed rest. And at that point is when I really started to worry about, well, what about the baby? So we get there. They put baby on monitor. They give me medicine. And then the nurse comes in and goes, okay, so we've decided to transfer you. And she explains to us that they have to send us to a hospital that's 2 hours north of... Well, it's not 2 hours. It's, what, like an hour?
Yeah,
Okay.
roughly.
I was exaggerating. It's an hour north of where we live, which is like
That's what it probably felt like for you.
Well, when I was a kid growing up, we just always said 2 hours.
Right.
It's one of those generalizations you make. So, it was about a half hour north of where my doctor's office was. And, they're like, we have to transfer you to this hospital because we don't have a NICU and there's a chance they're gonna have to deliver the baby. So, they put me in an ambulance. Luckily, they told us in a time where, like, Josh was able to run home so he could grab some stuff because we didn't know how long we were going to be there. It was like, just in case, grab some stuff. So he ran home and he got to come up there. Luckily, traffic wasn't too horrible. I think it took you, what, like an hour and a half total from when you left Olympia Hospital to go home and get up there?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so... by the way, my times are not exact. It's just general estimates, you know? So we go up to the hospital, they hook me up to all these monitors, and, you know, they explain to me more of what's going on. It's for the first time they tell me that I have developed severe preeclampsia. And I start freaking out, because in my head I'm like, 2 weeks ago, I was fine. I'd never had any bad blood pressures during my pregnancy. I didn't know what was going on. You know, I had gestational diabetes, but I've been keeping track of it. And I was very confused. I was like, how did it develop so fast, you know? But they didn't really have time to answer me, and so...
I don't think they even really knew.
Yeah. They
just knew what was happening.
So they hook me up to the monitors, the medicines. They start monitoring me. And it just kind of was a waiting game at that point. On the way up there, so the nurse at the first hospital had said, they'll probably send you up there. Honestly, they might deliver in the next couple days. And then when I was in the ambulance, the guy in the ambulance told me, he goes, oh, they're just going to stabilize you and send you home. So I had been given 2 reports of what was going on. Are you okay?
Yeah, what?
You're making faces.
Sorry, I haven't sat this still in a bit. I'm a little...
Tired?
Yeah. I'm okay, though.
We're sleep deprived, guys. We just got home 2 days ago, which you'll find out why later on. So, you know, we don't have information. And basically we get up to that hospital and they're like, we don't know what's going to happen. They're like, we might try to get you 2 more weeks, but we're not sure. So it started looking like they didn't know if they were going to discharge us. So Josh laid down and took a nap. Skip to 2 a.m. Or no. Before that, like, they wouldn't let me have, like, water because they weren't sure if they were going to have to operate. And I remember I was, like, dying of thirst. I was begging there. I was like, please let me take a drink. Wake up.
I hear you.
Well, you look zonked out. Actually, you looked a little stoned. But, anyways, so the nurse is like, I'm really sorry, we can't give you water, and I'm like, I'm dying. And probably wasn't the best thing to say at the time, because I found out later that that was kind of what the situation was. They thought I might be. So Josh lays down to take a nap. 2 a.m. they come in. They'd been checking me, they'd been in there pretty frequently, and they come in and the nurse is like, so we've decided we have to deliver. We have to do a C-section. And I was like, okay, when do we have to do that? And she goes, soon. And then they flip me over and start prepping me right then and there. So there was like...
Soon means right now in Tacoma.
Yeah, like, they didn't give me time. They're just like, we're going to flip you over and start prepping you. So, like, I think there was, like, 8 nurses in there. I think one of them was a doctor. There was 1 doctor and 8 nurses.
1 doctor, 8 nurses, and...
anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
And no, they didn't walk into a bar. It's not that kind of joke.
What's going to happen there?
So, the doctor's trying to explain to me while they're prepping me what's going on, and I was like freaking out. Josh wakes up they throw the outfit at him. Anesthesiologist comes in, like, as they're loading me onto a stretcher. Or, not a stretcher, gurney. It's more of a gurney. I get the two mixed up. I think they're interchangeable.
Just on a stretcher. There is a difference, though.
Anyways. So he's, like, explaining what's going on as we're walking down the hall. And it wasn't like, I had no idea what was going on. I was very out of it because they'd put me on so much medicine. Freaking out because it's literally happening so fast. I'm like, oh, this is happening right now. And they took me into the operating room, and so I remember sitting there before Josh came in, and the nurse was holding on to me, and like, because they were doing a spinal block. And I remember sitting there, and in my head I'm trying to figure out, like, for some reason I knew what was going on, but I was also like, for some reason my brain was not computing what was happening. And so then they lay me down, Josh comes in, and I would just like to point out, they put a lot of medicine in me, so I was very, very out of it. So they...
In other words, she slept.
You said I didn't sleep, but I feel like I fell asleep.
Well,
But
yeah.
I'll get to that part of the story in a second.
Jump ahead.
Well, so they had come in to tell us we were going to deliver at 2. He was born at 2:36 a.m. So it really was that quick. I am going to be honest, I remember only a few brief moments of the C-section. I remember Josh coming in. I remember briefly getting to see the baby as they were rolling him out. And then I remember trying to stay awake and feeling like I couldn't. And then I remember Josh coming back to comfort me because that's what he did. Like, do you want to explain that part, or?
Yeah, when they loaded him up in a little incubator, they're like, oh, well, you have the option of either staying here or following him up to his room in the NICU, which he's had his own personal suite. It was sweet. Anyway. Yeah, I was like, well, I'll follow up there, make sure everything's good. And I don't know, maybe stayed up there 10 minutes or so. They were hooking up the wires and the CPAP, I couldn't say it there for the life of me. And after all that and he was kind of settled, they gave me the option of either staying there with him or going back to you. And I was like, probably a good call to go back to her. Even though in my head I was like, you were definitely out of it. And you were definitely sleeping at intervals. But you had opened your eyes at a few parts. Like you said, you're aware of a couple. And I think in that moment you were just in and out, but you don't remember much of it.
I remember waking up when you came back. I remember waking up long enough to see him in his incubator before they rolled him out. And I remember waking up and hearing you talking to the anesthesiologist, who was like, wow, she's really tired.
Well, I even told him, I was like, well, she's on whatever you got there. And she was on other stuff. And she's barely slept. So it's like,
It was 2 a.m. and I had only slept an hour the night before.
So it's like all of that is just out. I should have sang you a song. Make you feel better.
Okay. I honestly would have been like, what are you doing?
What is happening? Why? It might have comforted you.
It made me feel a lot better when you were in the room. Because, like, I felt like it was kind of like I actually knew something that was going on. I knew someone who was there.
Yeah.
It wasn't just lay down and let us operate on you. Which everybody was very nice, very helpful. So surgery gets done. They take me to recovery. And at that point, we had kind of decided we were going to wait till it was morning and I was a little more lucid to call and tell my family. So we did that. You know, we slept for a bit, woke up. Well, I don't know if you slept. Did you sleep during that time?
I think for a little bit. I don't think it was for very long.
But
because I think some family were starting to not call, I don't think, but message a little while after I was like early. I feel like your mom and somebody else messaged.
I think it was my mom and my dad, you told me, had messaged.
That sounds right.
So then we decided to call them, told them, you know, what exactly had transpired in the night, because they knew we were going up there. And so we called, we told the family the news, and we just kind of waited at that point. So, hold on a second, I got a cough. Alright, we're back. So, you know, at that point where I'm kind of waiting, like, I want to know news about the baby, because I haven't really heard anything. I don't know anything. Josh is asleep right now.
Sorry.
It kind of comes across the news that they had to put me on magnesium, which was to prevent seizures that were possibly going to happen. But to do that, I have to be on it for 24 hours, and I can't go see the baby.
You couldn't move.
I couldn't move. I cannot go see the baby. I know, huh? He has a lot to say about it. Anyways, so Josh was able to go up to the NICU and see him. So Josh went up, he would video chat me, you know. It was... I remember being heartbroken that I couldn't go see him. I was worried. And honestly, I felt like I was... That first day was horrible for me. Just because it was like... I wanted to see my baby. I hadn't met my baby.
I know.
Try not to cry, but it's an emotional story. But Josh went, you know, Josh checked on him. Josh took him a story and read to him that night. So then becomes the process of healing. So I was in there, let's see, that was Tuesday that he was born. I was in there until Saturday, and that was mostly trying to get me, like, recovery from the C-section, which I remember being so wobbly. Like, I tried to stand up right away. Like, the first day that I was allowed to walk, I was like, I really have to go to the bathroom. And so I tried to stand up by myself, and I almost fell over. And it was then that I realized just how much it had taken out of me. Like, I thought I was fine, but then when I would move and stuff, I kind of realized...
Nope.
It wasn't so much that I was hurting, it was just more of a... It takes extra to operate right now. I just realized just how big the surgery was. What are you doing with your dang tongue?
Sorry, I noticed it as soon as I did it. I like to chew my tongue.
Chew your tongue?
Chew your tongue? Is that what I said?
No.
Wow, sorry.
So, yeah, it was kind of that process, and then I was still super swollen. They had trouble getting IVs, they had trouble getting blood, and I started to realize there was a lot more to how sick I was than what I had been told. And I was just hard. But the second...
Sorry, I was just gonna say, you were told, you were just, I think, you were ready to see your baby, which I completely get.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think I was trying to be tough, and...
In that moment, you didn't need to be tough. You'd gone through so much, and you are tough, but you don't have to, you know,
right, but like
push yourself.
But for me, like, all that mattered was, like, I gotta get to him.
I know.
So second day comes around, and finally they're like, everything's down, can't go immediately in the morning, but you can go and see the baby around 11. Which is what I did, and I had to sit in the wheelchair. I wasn't allowed to move, couldn't really hold him, but I got to go see him and spend some time with him, and that made me feel a lot better. I mean, it didn't make me feel completely better, but it, you know, I got to meet him, which for me was the best thing. It was what I really needed. Getting emotional, sorry. And so, you know, we continued on trying to learn how to get, you know, how to get better, what I need to do. Wake up.
Sorry. I'm listening. I'm trying to participate, but it's hitting me how tired I am.
Yeah, so I was discharged Saturday. We found out there was a place on the property, it was called the Tree House, where families can stay when they have loved ones at the hospital. It was literally like right around the corner, which was so nice. And we were able to get a room there, which was a huge blessing just because I was still recovering, so we figured it would be better for me to sleep on a regular bed than to sleep on the hard couch in the NICU, which we could have stayed there, but recovery-wise, it was just better to go to the other place. And thus began a new round of emotions. We chose not to go home because, honestly, it was just like, we don't want to be that far from him. And so, first I feel the need to say, I remembered I didn't mention this. Josh luckily had some vacation and stuff. He was able to take off like a week and a half so he could help take care of me. So that was a real blessing. And are you sleeping again?
No.
Because I don't know what I would have done if I was by myself. And he helped me get adjusted, and, you know, he made sure everything was set up so I could recover, but I could also go see Dawsey, which, the important, like, it's good that he was there, because in my mind it was just, what mattered was, I was like, okay, I need to suck it up and go see my son. I wasn't thinking about how I was hurting, anything like that. It was just...
Go see the baby!
Yeah. Go see the baby! So luckily, Josh was there and he kind of reminded me to take care of myself. It didn't always work. But...
It never does. I try though.
So, and then, like, we'd see him in the NICU every day. And then, when we would go home, it was the worst thing ever. Because, like, logically in my head, even though I knew he was safe, he was okay, I was heartbroken. I was like, I don't want to leave him. He needs to be with us, you know. And so that was really hard. And, you know, time goes on. He progressed really well. He got off his CPAP very quickly because his breathing had been extraordinary at birth, which he was only 31 weeks and 5 days. So we were lucky. We got so lucky he was healthy. Oh, I feel the need, I just remembered I didn't say this. So the reason they wound up delivering is because they said they need to get my blood pressure down, but when they did, his heart rate dropped.
He was so used to your high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, what is this?
And
What's
so
going on?
they couldn't balance both of us out, and they're like, for the safety of you, for the safety of your baby, time to deliver. Anyways, so he was doing really well. Once he got into the NICU, he only had a CPAP on for, like, what, 2 days?
2 or 3 days, yeah.
He progressed really quickly. You know, he was doing great. He was gaining weight. And that continued, and continued the whole time we were there, which I was so grateful for, because in my head I'm like, it could have been way worse. With how bad it got in that instant, it could have been way worse. And it's just, we got incredibly lucky. And so, yeah. It was hard. The whole NICU thing was hard. But also, we got lucky.
We got so lucky.
Why do you keep doing that into my neck?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Basically, yeah, we got lucky because we had great nurses. They informed us on a lot of stuff. I keep following Josh because he keeps falling asleep.
I don't know what it is. I was doing fine, I guess, because I was moving around, but once I sit down...
Okay, we'll wrap this up and then you can go walk around.
I gotta go get a haircut, y'all.
And so we wound up being there a month. Well, a little over a month. He was discharged at 32 days.
Yep.
And it was just kind of, every day was just like, what can we do so we can safely bring him home? And then so, the day before we left, we had walked in, and the main goal at that point, he'd passed everything else, he just had to work on his feeding. And we walk in one morning, and Josh goes over and greets him, and says, and walks away. Didn't notice anything, nothing out of the ordinary. And I walk over, and I notice for the first time, his NG tube is out. And I was like, oh my gosh, your tube is out. And I got so excited because that meant he was close to feeding on demand. And we found out later that what had happened was the nurse was going to go change it. And in the process of that, he grabbed it and ripped it out. And
sounds like my boy.
The nurse was like, you know what? He's eating good enough. We'll just let him keep it out. Because he did not like that tube. I don't think any baby did. But, yeah. So he ripped his own NG tube out.
Like a boss.
Like a little troublemaker. Anyways.
So they did that. While you did it.
And so we're really excited because we're like, okay, the nurse is going to come in. She's going to tell us, he's doing great. And it'll be... I thought she was going to come in and say, like, in 3 days or so, he's going to get to go home. That was not the case. Sorry, Josh is grabbing the baby. Are you going to join the story? Anyways, so, she comes in and goes, so, if he passes his test, you get to go home tomorrow. And we were so excited. And the test she was referring to was a car seat test, as well as just some general health checks. But then, so we're waiting and stuff, and then later in the night, a nurse came in and she's like, we might need this room, we might have to move you, which we had moved back and forth between that nursery and other nursery 4 times, and it was all just because of demand.
So many babies.
Yeah. And
so many quarantine babies.
Well, the reason we moved back to that room at the end was because part of my recovery was I developed a really horrible cough because I had fluid in my lungs, and it was just all these other factors, and it was really bad. And I got tested for COVID. I was negative, but there were people, you hear someone coughing, you're around sick babies, you get nervous, especially these days. So people were uncomfortable, so they're like, do you mind moving to this private room? And I was like, yeah, I get it. I would be worried too if someone was doing that. I reassured people, but I was also like, I don't mind moving. So that's how we wound up being in the private room at the end. And I know, huh?
You got the gas. You got the gas. It's a real gas.
I don't know how to go back from that.
I'm gonna leave now.
Anyways, so they were like, we might need you to go to this other nursery for the night because we need this room. And another nurse talked to her and they're like, why are you waiting till tomorrow to dismiss them? He's good. You can test him now. But then they come in and they're like, how about we just discharge you tonight? We'll run his test and you can go home. So he passed his car seat test, passed his heart check, passed everything he needed to, and then we got discharged. It was like 10:30, 11 when we got discharged.
Yeah, around there.
And Josh had gone back to the treehouse because he was cleaning. He was trying to pack.
You're like all scrunched up, aren't you, buddy? Don't mind me. Hello, big boy.
Look at that face.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
Anyways. So yeah. And then we left that night. We would have honestly stayed overnight, but the treehouse didn't have rollaway cribs. And we just decided, you know what, let's go home. And so that's what we did in the middle of the night. We drove home. We had our first night with him. And then the next day we got to meet our family. Or he got to meet some of his family. Some he hasn't had the chance to meet yet. We'll do that slowly, you know. Some are in Arizona, some prefer to, wanted to get the Tdap shot before meeting him, just because he's so susceptible to sickness right now. And so, yeah, we're just slowly going about introducing the family as we go. I got so excited that first night. We went to my dad's and they cooked us a home-cooked meal. And it was just homemade macaroni, which we'd been eating macaroni all month. But it was a home-cooked meal, and it might have been the best batch of macaroni ever. And, yeah, so we were so excited. And now we're home. And we're just taking it day by day, figuring things out. And yeah, it has been the craziest month of our lives. So, that's our story.
Sticking to it.
I do want to say, a lot of people bought from my store while we were up there before I closed it. It's closed right now just because I was having trouble keeping up with the store and balancing taking care of him. And it was just kind of like, you know what, we need a break. But people bought from it. I'm so grateful for every single person who did do that. I haven't coughed all day, and now look, I'm gonna cough. And yeah, so I'll be eventually opening that back up. I think I'm gonna leave it closed for now, just so we can adjust to being home. My husband's being weird. I will try to get back to posting on our blog, posting collections, posting on here soon. But for now, it's just taking it day by day. And yeah, I'm very lucky because Josh had a second thing of leave, and so he's gonna use it. He's gonna be home with us a couple days a week just to help out. And yeah, so thank you for listening to our birth story. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're so excited to be back, and we're excited for this new chapter. And we love this baby so much.
You mean this baby?
Yes, that
You
baby.
like this baby?
Yes.
Well, too bad. I'm kidding.
I have 2 children, apparently.
Yeah, you do. Did you not know this? Did you not know this?
I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys are all well. Bye, guys. Say bye.
He did. He went.
Say bye, vlog family. Okay, cool. Bye.